How does IHL impact counterterrorism operations? Imagine trying to catch a thief in a crowded marketplace without causing chaos or harming innocent bystanders. That's similar to how international humanitarian law influences counterterrorism efforts. When IHL, or international humanitarian law, applies, it sets clear rules for how armed conflicts are fought. It covers the Geneva Conventions and the laws of armed conflict, guiding states and groups on what is acceptable during hostilities. In situations where terrorist groups are involved, IHL kicks in if there is an armed conflict. This means that if a government is fighting a group that has taken up arms, the rules of IHL govern how they can act. These rules say that civilians must be protected and combatants must distinguish themselves from non-combatants. But not all counterterrorism actions are considered armed conflicts. Sometimes law enforcement handles terrorism, where IHL might not apply, and other laws like human rights law come into play. IHL emphasizes that civilians and civilian objects must be protected from attacks. For example, if a military targets a terrorist hideout located in a busy neighborhood, they must take steps to avoid harming innocent people. This involves careful planning, choosing precise weapons, and avoiding indiscriminate attacks. The principle of proportionality means that the expected military gain should outweigh the potential civilian harm. When terrorists are captured, IHL requires humane treatment. Detainees must be treated with respect, not tortured or degraded. They also have rights to fair trials. This applies even if they are suspected of terrorism. Respecting these rules helps maintain moral standards and prevents abuses. Counterterrorism operations are also limited by IHL's rules on weapons and tactics. Certain weapons that cause unnecessary suffering or have wide-ranging effects are forbidden. This influences how forces plan their attacks, choosing methods that comply with these restrictions. However, conflicts between counterterrorism policies and IHL can happen. Broad sanctions or surveillance measures might restrict humanitarian aid or access to civilians. Sometimes, laws aimed at stopping terrorism can unintentionally hinder humanitarian work, which complicates efforts to protect civilians. Violations of IHL during counterterrorism, like targeting civilians or mistreating detainees, are considered war crimes. These can be prosecuted under international law, encouraging states to follow the rules. Finally, IHL works alongside other legal frameworks. While it governs conduct during armed conflicts, criminal laws allow for prosecuting terrorists. Countries are encouraged to align their counterterrorism strategies with IHL and human rights laws to ensure lawful and effective responses. In essence, IHL shapes how counterterrorism is carried out by emphasizing the importance of protecting civilians, treating detainees humanely, and respecting legal limits on weapons and tactics. It creates a framework that balances security needs with humanitarian principles, even in the challenging context of fighting terrorism.